the Honorable Eileen Moore, Miss Edith Dominguez, Mr. Wesley Cloys, and Mr. Clint Deacon. Please allow me to tell you a little bit about these Vietnam veterans who stand before you today. Born and raised in Pennsylvania, Eileen Moore attended the Women's Medical College School of Nursing in Philadelphia. Just a couple of months after graduating nursing school, she received a direct commission as a second lieutenant in the United States Army, and in 1965 she deployed to Vietnam as a combat nurse. Her service awards include the Vietnam Service Medal, National Defense Service Medal, Cross of Gallantry with Palm. Upon her return from the war, she attended the University of California at Irvine, graduated cum laude in 1975, went on to earn her JD from Pepperdine University School of Law in 1978, as well as an LLM in Judicial Process from the University of Virginia. She currently sits as an Associate Justice for the 4th District Court of Appeals. Justice Moore founded the Veterans Working Group for the California courts and has been working to implement and facilitate the various statutes affecting veterans as they relate to post-traumatic stress disorder, military sexual assault, or mental health disorders as a result of military service. Over the past decade, Justice Moore has been a leader in veteran advocacy within the judicial system, assuring that veterans are aware of their rights in the California courts and that judges and lawyers are kept abreast of veterans' rights under the law. Justice Eileen Moore. A graduate of the University of Maryland, Tucker has drafted upon graduation in the spring of 1967 in the U.S. Army. Following his training and commissioning as an infantry officer and 6 more months as an infantry TAC officer at Fort Benning, he attended jump school, special warfare school at Fort Bragg, and Vietnamese language school at Fort Bliss. He then commanded a 5-man advisory team, MAT 36, to Vietnamese regional force troops in the Mekong Delta, where he was severely wounded. Following months of hospitalization, surgery, and recovery, he extended his Army commitment for 3 more months to teach patrolling and counterinsurgency tactics to engineer officer candidates at Fort Belvoir, Virginia. The mission of the Army Engineers is to fight as infantry when they are needed. In September of 1970, Tucker resigned his commission and moved to New York to study acting. His credits include roles in The Cotton Club, The X-Files, Star Trek Enterprise, and if that doesn't impress you, he played God on the Sarah Silverman program. Tucker is the author and audiobook narrator of Return to Eden, an anthology of 33 essays describing his experiences as an Army advisor in Vietnam, his life as an actor thereafter, and his return to Vietnam in 2004. Mr. Tucker Smallwood. Colonel Dominguez was on active duty with the United States Air Force from January 1966 through January 1970, and she is in the California Air National Guard from 1971 through 1997. While on active duty, she served 2 tours at Clark Air Force Base in the Philippines from December 1966 through June 1968, and from February 1969 through December 1969. During her second tour, then Captain Dominguez flew aeromedical evacuations with the 57th Aeromedical Evacuation Squadron, caring for sick and wounded patients being transported from Vietnam to medical facilities in Okinawa, Korea, Japan, Hawaii, Alaska, and the continental United States. During this tour, she also participated on medical teams at such large evacuation hubs like Tan Son Nhut, Cam Bay, and Da Nang air bases, coordinating flight requirements and patients and their care issues from surrounding in-country medical facilities, preparing patient for airlift out of Vietnam. She is also a very proud 40-year county employee, retired. Colonel Edith Dominguez. Wesley Cloyes joined the Army in January of 1964, and by June of 1965 found himself at Quy Nhon, Vietnam, assigned to the 84th Engineer Battalions, the 1st Army Engineer Battalion to arrive in country. He returned to the United States in June of 1966, where he was assigned to the Air Defense Command at Fort Bliss, Texas, and from there he was sent to China Lake, California Naval Air Station, where he worked on testing surface-to-air missiles mounted on the M113 tracked vehicles, which soon would be seeing action in Vietnam. He was discharged from the Army in 1967 after attaining the rank of Specialist E5. In 2010, a friend invited him to return to Vietnam. That trip was a transformative experience as Wesley met other veterans who worked and volunteered with nonprofit groups there. Since then, he has annually returned to Vietnam to volunteer at a center for people with disabilities. Since that life-changing trip to Vietnam, Wesley has also committed himself to helping veterans here at home. For the past 8 years, he has volunteered his time at the Wellness Works Veteran Support Center in Glendale, making a positive difference in the lives of combat veterans from Vietnam, Iraq, and Afghanistan. Mr. Wesley Cloyes. Clint Deacon was in the Army from August 5, 1969 to June 21, 1971, attending basic training at Fort Ord, California. He went on to receive training in Advanced Combat Infantry Jungle Warfare, ARVN Ranger training, and other specialty combat courses. Then in January of 1970, Clint deployed to Vietnam with the 23rd Infantry Division, more commonly known as the Americal Division, 11th Brigade, Charlie Company. On April 15, 1970, Clint was wounded in combat at the Rice Bowl, Hill number 238. During the course of his service, Clint was awarded the Purple Heart and the Bronze Star. In addition, he earned the Army Commendation Medal, Air Assault Medal, National Defense Medal, Vietnam Campaign Medal, Vietnam Defense Medal, Presidential Commendation Medal, and Combat Infantry Badge. Clint was honorably discharged and returned home to marry his wife, Linda. They've been married for 47 years, raised 3 sons and a daughter. Clint retired from the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power. Clint Deacon. Like all of our veterans from the Vietnam era, these men and women served our country with courage and honor, but never received a proper welcome home. Albeit far overdue, we want to make this right now. Today we welcome these patriots home and we thank them for their service. Supervisor Barger, Congresswoman Napolitano, and Chu, General Wong, and Colonel Briggs will now present the Department of Defense Vietnam 50th Anniversary commemorative lapel pin. We want to thank all of our honorees for sharing their stories with us today. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are a Vietnam veteran and are able, I ask you all to rise and please be recognized as we come together as a community to say, welcome home. I will tell you, ladies and gentlemen, we're almost at the end of the official ceremony, and we have a really emotional moment to bring you still. And then we would invite you to just enjoy this beautiful day. You'll wait for the skydivers, you'll enjoy some food and the wonderful information being dispensed by our various vendors here. And we just appreciate your presence so much. I would invite all Vietnam era veterans who are here to visit the Los Angeles County Department of Military and Veterans Affairs booth in the red section this afternoon to receive your own Department of Defense Welcome Home lapel pin. You will have one as well.
Thank you.
The weather's changing, that's the power I have. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time I'd ask you to join me in taking a moment to remember and pay tribute to our fallen heroes, POWs, and all those still missing in action. You may have noticed our table on the stage. Let me explain the meaning of this special table. The table is round to show our everlasting concern. The cloth is white, symbolizing the purity of their motives when answering the call to serve.